Hiya folks, me again. We take another look at Penguin Z0. I think I'm going to make this a thing. I really do. I think that I'm going to make this my goal. You know, really quick, Charlie, I do respect you genuinely. First off, I want to apologize if you prefer that I didn't call you Charlie. I don't really know you, and I feel like that would be rude. So Mr. Penguins, Mr. Z0, whatever the proper nomenclature you would like me to use as, I will respectfully use that. I don't know him. I've never met him. He's probably a great guy. He probably really is. But, you know, I used to really sub to his channel all the time, and I'm sure he doesn't care. I'm sure to him, I'm just some troglodyte or a Cro-Magnon or whatever fun other word he likes to use, nipple cannon or whatever. But I gotta say, Charlie's recent content has always been targeting others, analyzing something they do, and talking about it. So I thought, what better way, right? Charlie shouldn't be immune. So we're going to look at a video today. Quick background on this video. Now, there's a group on YouTube murdering animals for fun and filming it to get views. I apologize for the truck in the background. I don't live in my own house in Florida. I'm supported by GeoFuel money. I wish that I did, but I don't. But I digress. That's a really serious issue, folks. I love animals. I love animals more than people. I think animals should have a right to the earth. I have a lot of other opinions I won't get into. But just say they're very pro-animal. I'm not like, I do eat meat. I'll admit it. I eat meat because meat is delicious, and that's part of my view. But we're going to get, well, that's a different topic for a different day. The point is that I'm mortified by what I hear, and I agree with the hashtag YouTube answer us, or whatever Charlie says. We need answers, YouTube, or whatever the hashtag is, I forget. I don't really do hashtagging, but I will support that statement and sentiment all the way to the bank, because that is really an important thing, and animals are important. They really, really are, and I genuinely believe that. But Charlie takes a little bit of time here to, probably about 3 minutes of a 10-minute video he takes. 3 minutes. So about 30% of the video he actually delegates to a topic that he wanted to talk about, which is the animals. The remaining 7 minutes or so he spends talking about a strike he got in his channel. Uh-oh! God has fallen, ladies and gentlemen. What will we do? The great Charlie himself got a strike on his channel. Now, Charlie goes through a lot of effort not to get strikes on his channel. Anytime someone makes a request, he'll say, "Oh, is there any nudity in it? Oh, I don't want to do that." He's very quick, and I will give him credit. He's very quick to take all the effort he needs to do to make sure he doesn't get banned or get a strike or whatever. But he got a strike recently. Isn't that interesting? And weirdly enough, he got a strike on the most bizarre thing in the world. I'll let him tell you about it in a minute. But Charlie is mad. The topic of the title of the video is "I'm Mad." So let's take a listen and see if we can pick out a few points here.
Bangs on a van's window, and then SpongeBob, Mickey Mouse, the squirrel from Ice Age, and some purple ass-beating elephant cartoon character all get out of the van. It's mascots, and then they get into a little fight and then run away, and that's the end of the video. I was just making jokes about it, and YouTube removed.
So, quick background on what he's talking about. Everything he pretty much said is factual, but it's like a fake Russian, they're angry at a guy who's beating him or something like that. It's just silly stuff, harmless. I thought he was going to say he got hit for copyright because, SpongeBob and all those guys are copyrighted, so you can't use them without permission. And I don't know if I don't want to accuse anyone of anything. I didn't know if Charlie might have monetized that. I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. Or whatever the situation might have been. But the point is, you got to ask for... Copyright is weird. Let's put it that way. Copyright is weird. And yeah, so I thought that might have been it, but apparently it is for, what was it, Charlie? Why don't you tell us?
Moved it for violent and graphic content in what is clearly a staged viral YouTube video that I will
give him credit there. That's pretty intense.
years ago was huge. There's still dozens, if not hundreds of uploads of the exact same video still on YouTube with no issue, and people talking about it with no issue. For some reason, they have decided to target mine. And okay, it's happened in the past. I understand mistakes happen, so I appealed it. Well, within 2 days, it was rejected. Okay, so I take it up the ladder. As I've mentioned...
Whoa, 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 whoa. I gotta step in here. Charlie, buddy, you went against what someone said? Well, that doesn't sound right. I mean, you don't own YouTube. You know, Charlie, it sounds to me like you're being a little bit of a Karen right now. You're telling YouTube how to run their business. You're telling YouTube you're going in and not wearing a mask, and you want to speak to the manager because you're unhappy about it. Charlie, why didn't you just take the strike and say, oh, well, I'll learn from my mistakes? You don't think it's fair in your scenario. But I don't know if you saw my last video, but you should really go watch it. I think it's really spectacular. I might remake it because I had a little bit of audio issue that I fixed. But the point is, Charlie, is that it's weird. It's weird when it affects you. But when it affects other people, the jokes come flying out. You know, we're congratulating people on violence. We're doing a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff here, folks. Great stuff. Really, truly, genuinely. And, you know, we have fun. But now Charlie has a strike on his precious channel. And, well, Charlie's going to tell you about his connections. Let's take a listen.
Before with my company Human Media Group, we actually work very closely with YouTube and have had nothing but a positive relationship with them.
Yes, I mentioned this a little bit in my previous video. Charlie has a company, Human Media Group, like he said. I don't know anything about the company. I can't voice an opinion about the company. I wouldn't want the lawyers coming and knocking on my door. I'm sure they're all wonderful people, but I don't want anything to do with that. What I will say, and if I may offer a critique, Charlie, I'm not so sure if making a YouTube video is a good idea. Let me explain why that is real quick. You are partnered with YouTube. Partnerships end. YouTube probably has a clause in their giant contract that says they can terminate at any time for any reason they see fit. Now, that might not have much to do with, of course, your video about the car or whatever. But it might if you start making a trending YouTube hashtag, which will trend because you have a lot of viewers, and which is great. Again, I support the cause. But you know, when you call out and say, "Oh, I have this company with all these great people," and then you immediately in the same video say, "By the way, feel free to trend this you know, hashtag." Look, I'm just saying, I don't know if that's a great idea. Don't blame me if that happens. Susan, if you're listening, don't do it. I'm sure he's a great guy. We're gonna jump ahead a little bit here, though.
The partnership division is great. Some fucking rogue syndicate, Illuminati, shadow splinters.
He talks about how YouTube is very disjointed, which any company is. Look, let's get one thing out of the way. YouTube doesn't give a shit about Charlie. They don't give a shit about me or anybody else. They don't care about us. Susan and all the other big execs are probably rolling around in a Scrooge McDuck pile of money. They don't care about us. Why would they? We're small potatoes. They probably have a yacht made of gold that they drive around all day and do nothing else. Because what else are they going to do? We make them money from all the major sponsors and all the major platforms and ads and YouTube Premium and Google Play Premium, which is actually ending pretty soon. And all kinds of other stuff. They don't care about us, and they certainly apparently don't care about Charlie. I'll be honest with you, not to, again, put any words in anyone's mouth or anything, but I figured Charlie might be immune, or at least on sort of a whitelist, as a result of his partnership. I figured that was probably a fairly decent thing. You know, hey, listen, we're a partnership with this guy, we're going to flex a little bit. I expect that. I don't blame Charlie for that. I would expect that, you know? You want it to do well, you want the platform to do well, you want him to make money, and you want everything to happen. It makes sense you do that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Like I said, that's the nature of the business in America. But it's curious that they didn't. So, you know, I don't really, again, have any future thoughts on that, though. But, you know, it's interesting that Charlie's complaining, because Charlie tried to find the manager. He really did. He sent out an email. They said no. Charlie, though, like an angry woman who doesn't want to leave a store for not wearing a mask, Charlie doubles down. And makes a video, even shows his appeal. Ooh, let's see what else happens.
Cell division that I guess they just lock in cells or trap in dark cages for decades until they lose touch with humanity and they treat them like zoo animals because this department is so disconnected from the most basic understanding of human concepts. They believed my road rage video was genuine, shocking, disgusting, and overwhelmingly disturbing to the point that it needed to be removed from the platform.
Now that's interesting. They believed something that Charlie didn't agree with, regardless of what he thought was accurate and inaccurate. Charlie provided a counterfact. Charlie provided a counter-argument, which is valid, by the way. Other people are talking about it. I did look. Other people are talking about it. Other people are involved in it. So it is interesting that he's right, but they don't want to seem to listen to him. It's almost as though in other arguments, when it comes to other things, Charlie is very quick to be a little bit unsupportive. But it does seem like he likes to pick and choose when it affects him. Well, as you can see what's happening, but when it's something that he's willingly easy to comply and even decimate other people's rights, like the Karen in the video that he saw, well, that's no problem there. Easiest thing in the world for him, he's happy to do it. But we're going to take a little bit more of a look. I'm going to wrap up here. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I think I made my point, but we'll take a little bit more off the top for fun.
Which is fucking weird that they felt that way about a staged road rage video, but don't feel that for videos where their animals are being brutally murdered by baseball bats and blood and guts are flying all over the fucking place, even in the thumbnail. It's weird that they feel that for a fake road rage incident where SpongeBob is throwing a few slaps to a man. It's unbelievable to me. Now,
again, it's weird to me that video exists at all. I'm with Charlie 100% on this. It's bizarre. I actually remember hearing about this when he initially talked about it. So it is interesting that they're doing it again. But of course, that only gets a few sentences, and then he continues to make hand gestures and all that toward his video that got removed. Yeah, Charlie, it's weird that they have that opinion, but who are you to question it, bud? Rules are rules. Business policy is business policy. You can't fight policy. Oh, wait. You can if you're Charlie. That's right. My mistake. I apologize. Continue.
Again, I mentioned the great departments we work with at YouTube. In fact, I'd argue the majority of YouTube genuinely does care from behind the scenes. I think a lot of the departments are really on the side of creators and want to make it better. But there is a few groups like this one in particular that just completely ruin it and ruin YouTube's reputation and image as a result of it. Now, all of these departments are really isolated from one another.
I don't know what that weird cut was that happened, but I'm going to probably wrap it up here and just talk for myself for a minute before I end. This pretty much just goes on like this. Charlie just keeps talking about how he talks about his problem for another maybe minute or two, and then he actually, I think he does a hashtag. I'm gonna jump to that real quick just to get that out of the way and get that out there.
You know how alarming that is? They actually shared with me the message they sent in regards to the road rage video they took down.
Actually, this is really interesting. I want to do this really quick.
It's 2 lines. It is one line that says, "We are maintaining our decision to keep the video down," and the second line is a copy and paste of the rules regarding shocking content that's taken right off the Google Help page.
So let's clarify this. Charlie actually reached out to them on Twitter. So Charlie found an alternate source, an alternate way to Karen the manager, and they just they tripled down. They went for the full Monty, man. They wanted to make sure, and they upheld their decision to block his video. They did. At this point, I just be like, I'm taking the strike, you know? I don't argue with the man unless it affects me. I don't, care about other people and their mask and their policies and their rights, you know? Charlie has a right to make a video. Charlie, I would even go so far to say is that Charlie has a right to make a video, especially if it's violent, if people are making videos about beating up animals, hurting and killing animals. Why can't Charlie have a video like that? You know what? I don't make the rules. And you know what? I don't know why Charlie feels the way he does about masks, and I don't know why. It's a double standard, but you know what? It is, and that's life, and life is just a weird series of tetrahedrons. We're going to go a little bit more before I wrap up.
That's it. There's no conversation, There's no proof that a human being even wrote that email.
Real quick on the conversation point, I want to have a little fun with this. Charlie, there was no conversation to be had about masks. It was your way or the highway, and you called people who didn't support that. What was the term you used? Shit stains on the world? Something along those lines. I think that was pretty accurate there.
It is literally looking like an automated reply. That is what they sent to a fucking head of one of these departments who tried to get in contact and fix this issue. That is a problem. In an act of desperation, I did what any sad Boy Scout would do. I tweeted at you.
I wanted to touch on the word issue really fast. It's not an issue, Charlie. That's their policy. Who are you to argue with their policy? Who are you to argue with the rules? It's an issue for you when it affects you, but it's not an issue for you when it affects other people and their civil rights and how they feel about things. Their feelings are irrelevant, but you, Charlie, woo!
YouTube. I gave it a whirl to see what that would do, and they responded saying they look into it and thanks for my patience. And you know what? I don't expect the answer to change. In fact, I'm so confident it won't that I've already made this before they give me their final answer. And I imagine by the time I upload this, they will have already said on Twitter publicly that the video violates their policy and that I should review their terms of service or something similar to that effect. I've never done this shit before, but I really think YouTube needs to answer for what is going on with this manual review team. There is so much bullshit and so much that doesn't make sense. Why won't they ban animal abuse like Pollution Entertainment's channel? Why are they allowing that to persist and allow these videos of animal abuse to get hundreds of thousands of subscribers and views across their platform? What is wrong with their manual review department where they view a clearly staged road rage incident as some kind of shocking, disturbing video, despite the fact that there's hundreds of other videos of the exact same incident?
I want to chime in here before he does the hashtag. I agree though, in a little bit of a different front. I'm surprised the authorities haven't gotten involved and subpoenaed YouTube, forced them to remove videos, and I don't want to say arrested, but really basically made it clear to everyone involved, you need to be fired. I think it's weird. I think it's interesting. YouTube can just seem to kind of do whatever they want. I guess when you're YouTube, you have, buy out the police money, I'm assuming at that point. Because it's weird to me. I mean, look, you can make an argument realistically probably that YouTube is in a way assisting them. They're accomplices. YouTube is saying, we're not going to stop you from doing, we're aware of what you're doing. We're aware that there are reports, but we're not stopping it. We're not reaching out to the authorities. We're not doing anything. Actually, I think they reach out to the authorities one time for one channel, but there are dozens of them. They're not reaching out and doing anything about it. They're just not. And the authorities, I'm sure, are aware of this, and they're not doing anything about it. So it's weird. It just seems like as long as you're YouTube, you can just do whatever you want. No one seems to really care. It is. I will agree with him. It's really disturbing that is the issue, because it is just crazy to me that the powers that be at YouTube don't really care, probably because they're making tons of money off of it, or at least the people who are this is happening with, and that's why they don't want to do it, because they make money, and the police apparently don't want to be bothered with it because they don't want to go after YouTube. Who wants to have that argument? Hey YouTube, your accomplice is the animal abuse. It's not worth their bottom line. If it were people, it'd probably be one thing. But no one's going to risk their career against YouTube with some animals. I think they should, but they won't. And unfortunately, that's just a shame. But we got one last thing to talk about.
That don't have a problem. There's so many things that I think YouTube needs to change. So for the first time in my life, I actually do think a hashtag does need to be trending. Maybe they'll listen to that. I don't know if they ever have in the past because I don't really pay attention to Twitter hashtags, but I was hoping if something like hashtag answer us YouTube could get trending, maybe then they'd pay attention, because it seems like the only way to ever even...
Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm imagining that's probably the most remotely interesting thing. Answer us YouTube. Look, folks, I know I'm going to tweet it because I believe in that. I think it's important. And I think anybody out there who loves animals or care about animals, if you have a dog, a cat, a goldfish, whatever, you should be tweeting this. You should absolutely be tweeting this because it's an important thing. Animal abuse is not okay. Animals should, and in some states do, have as many rights as people. It's not okay to kill them. It's not okay to kill them for YouTube views. I mean, let's actually unpack that for a minute before I wrap up here. someone goes to a place, they adopt an animal, and then they murder it on camera for views. That happens, according to Charlie, assuming that the science is real. It looks like it. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. I'm going to agree here. It'd be some pretty crazy CGI if that did work out here. But I'm just believing in what Charlie says. He's the YouTubeologist here. I'm just believing what he says, much like he believes in the doctors and all the people, the mouthpieces that talk about coronavirus, and just objectively believes what they say and then vilifies people who don't follow that trend. Very interesting. But again, it's sickening to think that happens. So I am all for and in support of this hashtag. Again, I don't normally hashtag either because I'm a regular person. I live in the world. I don't live in the Matrix. And I think it's a really scummy thing to do, but that's life. Charlie, I hope you get your thing with your channel figured out, man. I doubt they're going to do anything because it's YouTube. But Charlie, if I may be the Pickle Rick of the situation, if I may be the evil Morty here from the Citadel of Ricks, I got to tell you, man. I really got to tell you. Karma is a cruel bitch. She really is. Karma's a cruel bitch. When it comes to other people, you are quick to give up their rights. You're quick to offer rebuttals and points and counterpoints. But when it comes to you, we got to make videos about it. We got to talk about this. We got to talk about our network of people who couldn't make this happen because my poor road rage video, Charlie. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sad. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Like I said, I hope you're getting it figured out. Please don't make fun of me in your podcast. If you do, I'd like to at least be on there to defend myself. Assuming you can hear this, I doubt you will. I noticed I posted my last video on your subreddit, and it didn't really get any attention, so I hope this one gets a little bit more attention so we can have a dialogue. I'd love to talk to you, buddy. Got a lot of great points. Whether or not you want to hear it's your business, but, good luck, and see everyone later.